Hello, guys. In this video series, we will talk about the Azure AI Search Service. We will see what are the various options which are provided while creating the Azure AI Search Service with the portal. I already have my Azure subscription, and now I have already created my resource group. This is what my resource group is. I'm clicking on it and clicking on create. Here, it will give me another blade where we can select the type of Azure resource that is to be created. So I'm gonna enter here Azure AI Search. Formerly, this Azure AI Search was known as the Cognitive Service or Azure Cognitive Search. So let me create it. Now, while creating this Azure AI Search, you will have to be very careful. So if you are building the AI solutions for RAG, that is retrieval augmented generation, where if you have the data which is being stored into some storage like blob storage, maybe SharePoint Online, Cosmos DB, whatever it is, and you want your Azure AI search to provide the necessary search capabilities, then you will have to create this very carefully. So this is what my subscription is. I'm giving the name to that as my AI search sir. So this is going to check whether the name is already available or not. I'm going to give the name as uh, MSIT, right? Hopefully this is not there. Then choose the region wisely. Now, why this is very important? So if you are building the AI capability for your application for implementing RAG, then not all AI capabilities for search available across all the regions. So you will have to use them very carefully. That is very, very, very important. So what I'm going to do over here is that I'm going to select the region as West US. And once it is done, then we will be going for the pricing tab. Now, Azure AI Search in the Azure Portal, since it offers a rich set of features and configuration operations or options, so that you can build a very powerful search experiences, and that too especially the AI driven app, you will have to go for the pricing tier very carefully. So there are various pricing tiers available. So I'm going to click on this. So here we do have the various pricing tiers. So the pricing tiers available with all these capabilities. Now, how we are gonna choose them? So what you need to do is that you'll have to know about all the options and then their features. So knowing about it is very important. And let's see that. So here we are having the SKU, right? So the free tier with the max number of indexes are three, right? Where what we can go for it with, we can have the index created. Now index is uh, basically the one which is going to offer a schema where it is going to contain the indexed data, where you can have the ID, the vector, the content, the metadata, all the things that you can keep. So with this free tier with the indexes 3, we can have the schema up to 1000 fields, and that offers up to 25 MB of the storage. So very important thing is that you will have to know about this information tag when you are going to work with the portal. So here it says that the practical limit might be lower due to overall storage constraints on the free tier. So you'll have to do this carefully. Then total storage goes up to 50 MB, one replica, one partition. The cost is zero. If you are going to go for the vector dimensions or that, the vector dimensions offering by this is 4096, which is almost very much common for everyone. Now, we do have the various offerings, their various indexes. So you will have to use them carefully. Now I'm going to go for, let's say, the basic one, right? And can select that. Now, since I'm going to use this for a demo, instead of going for basic, I'm going to go for free first, and then I'm going to click on select. So that's it. Skill. Now, important thing is that when you are going to make a use of the free tier, there is no scalability option available. So you will, if you want scalability, then you will have to go for a different tier. So if I go here to the pricing tier, and let's say I'm gonna go for this high density, okay, which is pretty higher, almost $2,000, right? And then if I go here, right, then right, we can keep on changing this, and naturally the pricing will be more in that case. Okay, so as per the requirement for your application, you will have to use this wisely, right? So I'm gonna again get it back to free here, select, right? Next, scalability over here. So there is no option where I can change anything here. So this is zero. So, right, only one search unit with estimated cost is zero. We are gonna have the 99.99% availability for read operations. Right, here are the partitions. So the partitions allow for scaling of the document count as well as the faster data ingestions. So this is going to help us the appropriate document partitioning so that index will be effective, so that we can easily search the information from that. So I'm going to go here, oops, review and create here, and then create. So this is going to create the search service. After creating the search service, it is very important for us to know about the detailed options of that. Now, why is it like this? So the important part over here is that based upon the requirement behind going for a Azure AI search, you will have to choose the data source from where you are going to get the data. You will have to plan for that appropriately. You may have the data in Azure Blob Storage. You may have the data that is stored into Azure Data Lake, maybe Cosmos, right? Whatever. So that decides how your AI app is going to work, AI search application is going to work. So it's been created here. So let me go to the source. Right, and this is the most important part of this. So this is where my search service that already exists. And now we do have the indexing options over there in overview. Here we do have the detailing of that. So the URL. So why this URL is required? So when you are going to write a code, maybe .NET or Python application, okay, for building the RAG based solution, then your application needs to connect to the Azure AI Search Service. So for that, this URL must be shared to the client. That you will have to do it. Okay, so that's important part. Now, before going for anything else, here we will have to talk about some of the important options here. So we can keep on adding index over here from this. We can add the index and we can decide the schema for that particular index. We can do that. So we can go here and then we can directly keep on adding the fields. So by default, ID of the type string available, it's a unique. And then you can keep on adding the other fields like content, which will be the content from the document. And then you can have the text vector or content vector that is created, where the content vector is going to take the text and other type of data during the search, it can do that. Okay. For example, for example, it's like this. If you are making a use of the content vector, it includes the additional context or metadata from the document beyond the raw text. But if you only go for the text vector, then it takes the vector embedding for the textual data from the source document. It could be PDF document. So you can keep on creating those fields over here. So eventually we will be doing that after some time. Let me go back, and here we can go for import data. Now this imported data is the one where it is gonna connect with the data source, and it will generate the index based upon that, and then it is gonna index the data for efficient search. So we do have various options over here. Azure SQL database. Whatever that you already have on Azure, the portal, right? You can connect to that database. You may have the SQL Server installed on a virtual machine. You can connect with that. You can connect with Cosmos DB, right? Then you can go for Azure Blob Storage, table storage, data lake, one lake, SharePoint online. Right now this is in a preview mode, but soon it will be available with us. Okay, like that. So you can connect with any data source over here. So the data, your AI search will connect with that data source, and the data will be indexed for the efficient search. So that's what that we have. I'm not selecting anything right now because I'm explaining you the entire stuff. Now the most important part over here is this, that um, the import and vectorize data, right? So this is the no code tool to connect to the data sources like Azure Blob Storage, Data Lake, Cosmos DB, and so on and so forth, where what it will do, it will connect to the storage, and it will generate a vector from that, and the those vector will be stored into the index. So this is a very, very, very powerful tool that's available. We need not to write any code for that. We need not to write any code. So typically, when you are going to make a use of the Azure AI search for RAG based application, retrieval augmented generation, then import and vectorize wizard or this option is being preferred a lot. So I can go here to the blob storage, and then we can decide whether you want to go for the RAG with the process text and simple images, where if those images contain the text, it will use OCR, optical character recognition, or you can even go for multi-modal RAG. Okay, that is also there. Okay, then the various other options. I'm again going to go back. So we do have the data lake, table storage, right? Cosmos DB, and here also you can make a use of the Azure SQL database. So we have all over there, okay, for importing the data and vectorization of it. Okay, so this is an option. Let me go back to the service again here. Then there exists a search explorer. So whatever the index that has been generated, right, it will allow us directly to query over the data. So since there are no index available right now, this is empty. Okay, so let me go back. Now here, uh, the search service, when you try to use it in your application, you need to go for the access authentication of that, for which the keys are needed. So these are the keys. So I already told you about the endpoint, and now this is the second part, the keys. This admin key you have to share to the client application, so that the client will authenticate against this Azure AI search, and then the app will be able to access this search capabilities and perform the uh, really high scalable search experience. So application will pass the search data, and your AI search will provide the necessary output for which the authentication is really needed. Now, search management that takes place with options like this. So here we do have data sources. So whatever the data source, I already told you about the data source, that you do have the blob storage, the data lake, Cosmos DB, all that. You can make use of that. That the data source. Indexes here, they are used responsible to automate data ingestion from the supported sources. So whatever the data source that you have chosen, based upon the data source, the index is going to take place. So let's say you have PDF document into your Azure Blob storage. You are taking the Azure Blob storage as a data source, and now the Azure AI Search will basically import all the PDF, will implement the vector on that, and then the index will be generated according to that. We do have skill sets, right? Skill sets basically, they are used for applying the AI enrichment during the indexing process, like using the OCR. So let's say your document is having image and the image has a text embedding on it. So we need a optical character recognition. So those skill sets can be configured over there. You can also go for the entity recognition and the translation. Means almost all the AI capabilities, those exist here. Indexers are used to, right, manage the data from the indexes so that it will be available for the search. So these are the capabilities which we have, right, for the Azure AI search. Right. So we have seen how to create this Azure AI search service, and we have seen its options like the data source and import wizard. In the next step, what we will do is that we will basically go for creation of the data source so that we will be able to use it into our Azure AI with vectorization. Thank you.